James, we're back another week with taking inventory. Before we get into it, I think it's worth noting we were over at CES this past week, both as part of market and taking inventory. Saw a lot of old friends there. You fully recovered?
Yeah, I feel good. I think Vegas generally is like not a great experience, but this year's CES actually felt pretty productive. We were there the perfect amount of time. I think you can't do more than like 60 hours in Vegas. And I think CES itself, from a pure kind of marketing and media perspective, kind of just hammered home a lot of the themes we've talked about over the last, year or so, which is anything that like can be an ad network is becoming one. At least that's sort of like my takeaway from walking around those meetings. I don't know, what was your like big theme for the trip?
Every business is trying to figure out an AI strategy. I think some have a focus and a priority in what they're building towards, and others are even just trying to understand what's out there and how they actually put together a strategy that feeds into their larger business. And so, a lot of conversations just asking questions and trying to understand how are advertisers and brands trying to take advantage of AI within the ad platforms. Um, and honestly, I don't think there was a clear answer. I think people are still trying to figure it out. But one thing that was clear to me was like, if you don't have a strategy, if you're not thinking about it, and you don't have something in the next 12 months, you're going to be left behind.
Yeah, I think the AI side honestly makes me really excited about what we're doing with market, our company. I think sort of a generalized sort of AI assistant for all this stuff just seems extremely useful. So I think we're headed to really just like it was validating to see all the use cases around that. And then it also just makes me think that a lot of the people that are at the walled gardens are going to be the ones driving a lot of this AI innovation. I think one example is like Creatify. Yeah, like I'm an investor there, so I'm biased, but they were at Snap and they now are building just like incredible AI for UGC style videos. It's like, and that was just like basically a feature that they spun out in some ways of stuff they were building at Snap. So I think you're going to see more things like that. A year from now, we're like not even going to talk about AI anymore. It's just going to be so integrated. So I think it will just sort of get like baked into the infrastructure, but when it can be useful, it is super useful. And then one thought I had leaving there is just for all of these sort of new ad networks, which again, like most of them are kind of spins of retail media networks, when you have conversations with the teams, it's pretty clear there's like very little owned and operated inventory. And so like most of these RMNs are actually audience networks. And I don't know, as just like someone who spent so much time working with Facebook back in the day, there's like some sort of irony to it, which is, it's like all about your graph and how you can go ahead and leverage your graph outside of your own inventory. So I think it's going to make for, the ones that are subscale. I do wonder what's going to happen to like the margins in terms of those businesses. But I do think this year, you know, you will you'll start to see really, really, really targeted CTV ads based on all this stuff.
Totally agree. We thought because retail media was such a hot topic at CES that it'd be pretty interesting to talk to one of the newcomers in the space that's growing pretty quickly. And so we have this week the CRO of Shipt, which was acquired by Target several years ago, but sounds like they're still being run independently. And so I have a really interesting conversation with her about their retail media strategy and what they're doing from kind of an independent perspective.
Yeah, Katie has an awesome story. She was at Facebook for kind of like ever, building up a bunch of different verticals there. And then, what her and her team are building now, I think is just another really good example of sort of the RMNification of like all consumer touch points. And, they're sitting on some extremely valuable data. It's also interesting that it's a part of Target, but it's separate. Again, I think it just kind of shows that like if you're in an organization and you have products that can support a retail media network, it's probably going to happen. I think Sam's Club and Walmart is a good example too. You start to realize that these retail media networks are about like the inventory, it's about the data, but it's also about the merchant relationship. And I think Shipt is one where the merchant relationships are really interesting. She talks about how the relationship with the delivery personnel is pretty unique. So there's just a bunch of interesting components to it. And I think if you're poking around the RMN space, this is, I think, sort of a non-obvious uh, platform, but one that makes a lot of sense as you hear more about it.
Yeah. So instead of us trying to explain this, let's get into it with her and let Katie explain all of this.
Let's go.
Today, we welcome Katie Stratton, who is the Chief Growth Officer at Shipt and is the first Chief Growth Officer in the company's history. Prior to joining Shipt this past June, she spent 11 years at Meta in a variety of CPG and retail leadership roles, including 5 years heading up US restaurant sales. Katie began her career in the creative agency side of the world, managing auto advertising at Saatchi and Saatchi, and then leading global business for both Unilever and Cadillac at Bartle Bogle Haggerty. So, Katie, welcome to the podcast. We're excited to have you here today.
Thank you. Excited to be here.
So, why don't we jump right in? And can you tell us and our listeners a little bit more about Shipt for those who may not be familiar, and also your role as the first Chief Growth Officer?
Yes, I would love to. So Shipt is a retail technology company. And the way you can think about what we do is at our core, we connect people to reliable, high quality delivery with a personal touch. And that personal touch is really important to us. And I'll tell you a little bit why as I explain the company and my role. We really think about delivering on this promise with a curated, dependable network. We like to connect our customers to the things that they want from the stores that they love. And similarly, we connect workers to new earning opportunities and retail businesses to more satisfied customers and more advertisers to opportunities across our retail media network. So when you think about the network overall, there's a few different solutions that we offer today. The first is our most visible, which is our shop and deliver marketplace, the Shipt marketplace. And on that marketplace, the focus is really on creating a compelling, curated experience that customers love. We take this approach of quality over quantity when we think about our partnerships. And we do this because we want to make sure that these partnerships drive growth and efficiencies for both Shipt and them, our partners. The second one is the most rapidly growing part of our business, and it's our delivery only offering. And this solution gives retailers reliable delivery on orders that are placed from their own websites. So this space, partners tell us Shipt offers a much more economical alternative to the traditional carriers that are out there. And all of this comes with faster speed, higher quality. And then last but not least, really what I'm most excited to talk to you about today is our Shipt Media solution for advertisers. So in my role at Shipt, I oversee the growth team. And this team plays really a critical role across all of those facets of the business. So our partner sales and success team, they work really closely with new and existing retail partners. Our Shipt Media team that was just rebranded develops industry leading capabilities that get advertisers closer to point of sale. The site merch and catalog operations team that works, closely with the rest of our advertisers and retail partners. They make it all work seamlessly across our properties. And then, of course, as Shipt's growth team, we're front and center in leading the next phase of growth for the company overall. I like to say very proudly as I look at my team, we have a best in class sales development and innovation arm that works in lockstep with our growth operations. And there's so much goodness and opportunity that I'm seeing every day across all parts of the business that I really couldn't be more excited about.
And for you, like going from Facebook or Meta for the last 11 years, like was it just I guess in particular, I guess coming you oversaw dining restaurants. I saw CPG at one point. Like these are the products that Shipt is like curating and fulfilling. So when this came up, where you were like, I'm just like perfect for this. Like I'm finally going to make the leap. Was that kind of the mindset?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look, I think as part of my time at Meta, I was there for over a decade, and I was there for, early days of helping to really, build and expand the sales team across a lot of different industries and verticals in the business. And, I was working very closely with CPG partners and retail partners early on there. And then, as you mentioned, my last 5 years running the dining and delivery business, I got really close to the delivery and the last mile delivery landscape and space, working with a lot of my partners there and working with them across Meta's entire family of apps and services across all of their offerings. I really just took a step back and said, look, based on where I've been, what could I uniquely bring into the Shipt ecosystem? And to your point, it was like, I saw this opportunity as just like, I cannot wait to go and bring my experience into the life stage, the business stage that Shipt is in as it's maturing, as it's almost a 10-year-old company.
And Shipped, as you said, works with some of the best partners out there. I mean, Walgreens, Target, CVS, a number of other kind of national brands. You've got the media solutions piece of it. Are you guys, facilitating just the marketplace? Or are you actually doing the delivery and securing uh, drivers and delivery people? Kind of, can you paint us? It sounds like a very complex kind of business. Can you kind of simplify some of the facets of that for us?
Yeah, yes. So the business overall, the answer to all of your questions is yes, we are. So we have our independent contractors, who are it's very much a part of the ethos of our company that brings that personal touch that our customers love so much. They love working with their preferred shoppers who will go in and shop and learn their personal buying behaviors and what they may usually have on the list. That whole independent contractor group, yes, we work in service of them, just as we do in service of our customers who are purchasing from our retailers, and then very similarly in service of our retailers, as I talked about. And as part of that, you can extend it to our CPG partners who work with us on the Shipt media business. Being able to offer them inventory that brings them closer to the point of sale is really crucial and important as all of those pieces are working together. Partners like working with Target, of course, and Kraft Heinz and Unilever, right? Thinking of the ways that they can come together in that last mile mindset of the customer is very unique to our business.
It's interesting. I haven't really thought about like the need for curation and like merchandising when it comes to like last mile delivery. But as you're talking about it, like that is like quality control and just like access to premium products and personalization does seem like such a big problem. And we've sort of seen that happening with some of these niche marketplaces around like D2C brands in particular, like going from like Amazon to like more like curated marketplaces. Is that kind of a good analogy of like the power of what this can be and what it is?
Yeah, yes. I mean, look, Shipt launched its retail media network offering in 2018. So today, as you're saying, the rise of e-commerce and digital media has spurred such significant growth within this ecosystem. And we're really committed to evolving alongside it and, really finding our unique and differentiated value add that we can bring into the space. So when I came into the company, this was one of the first places I leaned into for all the reasons you mentioned. And I saw that it was a really healthy business right away. And from the get, working for 5+ years with some of these successful brands, we were doubling the number of our ad products in the market to meet those personalization needs. So I saw a real need to continue to further invest here in evolving around this space, which is really why earlier this fall we launched the brand identity of Shipt Media in the market. And this came with new logos, an updated online presence, all new tools, fresh marketing materials. Later this year, we'll have some new case studies to share, all rooted really in the tenets of the Shipt brand. But important to mention how we're differentiating ourselves is we're creating more control for advertisers through our advanced audience targeting and really leaning into performance transparency through the granularity of reporting that we share with advertising partners. And that to me is key. That's where I really see the need in the industry. And there's a suite of tools and features that we've been building over the years to do all this. And the way I like to think about it is these tools are built to meet the customer where they are and serve up the most relevant products to them that help save the time and capture that curated deal. So I can give you a few examples of these tools, and many with some of our third-party partners that we love working with. Our on-site display advertising, powered by Criteo and Citrus, two really important partners to us. Of course, we have special offers, couponing, promos. Then you can think about our sponsored products, again, working with Criteo and Citrus there. And offsite social and programmatic display, working with our friends at Meta on that one, and Criteo again. So we are really leaning into how can we curate and personalize, just the product selection that people may need based on, their purchasing and buying behaviors.
And from like a tooling perspective, this is like kind of in the weeds, but just kind of curious your point of view, just being at Meta for so long. Is it been like interesting being like we're going to rely on a third party for kind of these tools, but like has that transition been different than like working directly with PMs, at Meta for these things, or have you found that it's kind of freeing because like you can innovate directly with them? Like, has that been a different type of experience for you?
Yeah, you know what? I wouldn't say it's that different because I mean, as Meta worked with a ton of third parties. Back in the day, Shift being one, right? So that to me, I think there was always an ecosystem of understanding, and I always felt this way too, of where are the moments that we have the capability to build versus we want to partner with this, someone who's really leading in and can help accelerate our business, and we can do it together. So we're still taking that same approach here at Shipt. We have the ability again to think about meeting not only the customer but the advertiser where they are in either self-serve buys, or managed buys, right? And the managed buys, all of those tools, our teams are building and running, and it's really just dependent on what the advertiser needs, and how they're structured, right? Because we don't want them to have to fit into our org model. We want to fit into theirs. So I would say there's probably more similarities than not. It's just thinking about what to build versus what to partner on with, someone who can help accelerate.
And within kind of the retail media environment, Shipt obviously, but then also kind of the broader environment, you guys have your kind of media solutions. You said, whether it's self-serve or managed, you're also working with partners that are building out their own retail media platforms, whether it be Walgreens or CVS. We'll get into it in a little bit, but Shipt was acquired by Target, I think in 2017, and Target has Roundel. And so how do you view kind of Shipt's media solution alongside partner media solutions and then kind of Criteo, which is maybe a more independent player?
Yeah, I would say to answer the first question, very much complementary. And I think you mentioned this, as Shipt being a part of the Target family. We are wholly owned by Target, but independently operated. We do work with Roundel in that very same way, right? I mean, we're independently operated companies. So it's complementary, and it's really meant to be complementary to be mutually beneficial to our partners as well. Like, as you said, other companies and retailers who are standing up their own retail media networks, there's an opportunity to do better together. That's sort of the mentality I think about it, of where is your role in meeting the consumer versus where is ours, and how can we marry those strategies together? Because our role really is, I like to think of it as, bringing the full funnel into the last mile, the last stage of the conversion, right? So you can provide that awareness, consideration, and discovery all within the moment of point of sale. on our marketplace or through some of the marketplace or the I should say the platforms that we power, some of the websites that we power. So they're very much complementary. I wouldn't think of them in conflict in that way. And we talk to our partners about this quite a bit. And you also mentioned, working with some third parties, and I mentioned Criteo several times. They're a really important partner to us. They help us complete that full funnel strategy. Really from re-engaging users after they visit Shipt to leveraging their technology and engine to engage new customers. And we're known to have a very unique membership base that's extremely loyal to our particular platform. So being able to connect our audience data to these products really helps our advertisers drive greater return out of the investment that they're putting into our partnership. And, in that vein, one of the features that makes Criteo such a great partner is their audience targeting, which really helps reach the right member at the right time with the right message. And in turn, that's what drives the incremental value. So, the partnership there it's really a 360-degree partnership. And what stands out is how each individual member of the Criteo team is fully invested in the growth of our business, and being able to lean in with them and their platform to test and understand new capabilities, share feedback. It's really important.
You mentioned partnership, a number of times there. And we've said it a few times, but you guys have some really, really big name partners on your site that you work with. And so, what is your philosophy and perspective on evaluating and selecting the right partners to work with versus maybe some other marketplaces out there that go for volume and kind of quantity of partners as opposed to quality through and through?
Yeah. I mean, I would lean into our just as a company, our belief that quality matters, quality of the relationship with the customer and the independent contractor that's doing the shop for them, right? That quality of that relationship really, really matters, and our customers tell us that, which is why they're so loyal to us. And we take that same lens into our retailer curation strategy, right? It's we want to go deep with our retailers, we want to understand their business needs, and we want to be able to share ours. I mentioned this earlier, but for us, it's very much it's got to be a mutually beneficial relationship. And the first thing we do, and the first thing I do as I'm meeting a lot of these retail partners, is just to say, like, tell me and teach me about your challenges. What are you up against, and then how can we help solve them? And I think that that's the difference, right, of being able to go a level deeper, and bring innovation to market because of that, is where I see the quality piece being much more significant in terms of long-term value to the retailer, long-term value to the customer, than just quantity. And the other thing I'll say is we hear similarly from our brands that this matters because they're stretched really thin, right? And they're expressing more appetite for data and insights in a transparent way with standardization and measurement. Like the standards rolled out by IAB and MRC that, we were really happy to see that happen and, weigh in with public comment. But the brands, they want to be able to get better insights into, specific products, like custom audience segmentation, customer insights, modeling. And this allows us to give them a view of the most important retailers to them too. So we're thinking about our brand's needs, just as much, in this quality equation.
And from like the advertising perspective, right now, are most of the advertisers, I guess, like endemic to the marketplace, or like have you started to, like are there like are you guys like I don't know movie studios, sports teams? Like, is it starting to become a broader ad platform?
Today they are endemic.
And do you think there's like an interesting opportunity? I bring it up because I saw we have friends over at Lyft, and they just ran this campaign where it was like the Trolls movie was on there, which was like partly kind of endemic. Like in theory, you can go to the movie via Lyft, but it was also just like kind of just cool and interesting. And it reminded me a lot of us at Snap, like when you started using the inventory for all these different things that were sort of non-core, but people enjoyed it and it was like fun. Do you think that there's an opportunity there with all these great retailers and all these great brands and the fact that it's like such a premium product? Could you see it going that way?
I mean, I think that there's always an opportunity to explore places where we could continue to meet our customers at each stage of their journey. Like that's the way that I would think about it. And I come back to that every time because that's how, especially in our retail media offering, we're differentiating ourselves by creating those controls that I mentioned before. So while we don't have that offering today, I think if this is something that will support our customer journey, I would love to look at any innovation that would support the customer journey for sure.
And I think in a similar vein, I think maybe a few years ago, before retail media networks were kind of in the everyday vernacular, at least every day in ad tech, there were a lot of arguments that social was kind of the future of advertising because that's where people spent time, just like TV was and continues to be to some extent. Um, Whereas people look at retail media networks and they say, okay, this is where I go purchase things, or this is, I'm not spending time here. I'm going here with a purpose. But we're starting to see both endemic and non-endemic ads perform in retail environments. And I think that's a really fascinating evolution that I don't think a lot of people have understood up until maybe the last year. What's your perspective on that kind of evolving mindset, coming from Meta, where there was a ton of time spent and engagement, moving into a retail environment where it's not necessarily about time spent, but kind of high intent engagement?
Hmm. Yeah. Look, I mean, I think for our customers, right? For the people that value Shipt overall in their daily life, what we strive to do is make their life easier, and bring to light in whatever way that we can a product or a service that will do that. And when I think about what that looks like for our advertising partners, I'll really just come back to transparency here. We're continuing to diversify our offering and providing existing and potential partners a heightened sense of transparency, and really investing in our enhanced data and analytics tools. So today, our data portal offers brands a full view into their performance and allows them to make immediate strategic business decisions that will propel the brand forward and the sale forward. And ultimately, coming back to your original question, I mean, that's delivering on the value and the promise, to our customers. And we also have plans to roll out measurement tools, like third-party tagging, multi-touch attribution this year, to give brands a deeper understanding of just the overall channel impact, which again, to me, I think just goes back to what's the value that we're driving to that customer, which is bringing them this high quality service, that's going to save them time and make their lives easier and better.
And do you find that the quality of customer then is much higher because you charge a membership fee? So this isn't a fully ad supported model. I mean, people are opting in, buying a membership, and then you're serving them ads. Are you finding that changes maybe the dynamic of how they engage with ads or kind of how they engage with Shipped, obviously?
I mean, not really, right? Because our job is to make sure that they're getting the relevant product, promo, offer that they're going to want to need, right? Based
Mhm.
on their own buying behaviors. So if we do our job right, which I see us doing, it becomes really additive to the experience and not in any way intrusive. And actually, in many ways, it's like reminding you of a product that maybe you forgot you needed, right in that moment, and you're really happy that you did remember it and you didn't have to you know worry about cooking dinner and finding that one last item, right, that you forgot to order from your pantry.
Yeah, I would have
Yeah,
imagined with the membership, it is, you know, you are a trusted source. You're not, pushing ads to kind of pay for the service that, you're a trusted source for these consumers. And if you serve an ad, it's because it's something that's relevant to them.
Yes, that's exactly it.
and have you guys like thought about we had on the podcast a little bit ago the founder of Serve Robotics, which was like It's a little robot delivers food for Uber Eats. It's like a really cute little robot, but they have ads on it. And have you guys thought about like kind of like, or are you guys thinking about kind of like what the future iterations of like last mile delivery looks like, or or is there part of it that like the human touch is one of the benefits of Shipt versus maybe some of these other platforms?
We're always thinking about the innovation of our business. I mentioned this early on. I have a sales development and innovation team that sits under my growth organization. So this is constantly top of mind. And we have an incubation arm to look at some of these new tech ideas, really. But I would say the personal touch will never go away. No matter what we lean into from a tech perspective. And, that could look very different in the future than it does today. But the personal touch and I would say investing in our workers who are delivering that touch is also crucial to us because we know it's crucial to our customer.
You guys have spent, as you've mentioned, the last several years building out a very strong media solutions arm, and you recently rebranded it. Um, what are some of the challenges that you think other retailers face in the industry that you guys have done such a good job of building that out? But where where maybe are some of the stumbling blocks that other retailers are facing, that brands are facing, that they should look at a Shipt and say, you know, this is either a blueprint of how to do it properly, or let me just go ahead and partner with Shipt because this is very hard.
Yeah. Um, well, maybe one of the first things I'll say is we are identifying and building all of our solution around the priorities we see in the customer's journey, which you've heard me talk about the customer's journey quite a bit here. So we think about what are they going to need and want along every step of the way, like the personalization, and also, what are the things that we can do to help, really create a habit that these customers want and need, right? A place that they know, like you said, a trusted place that you can go to say, this is where I want to buy my grocery, right? Or non-grocery, whatever the retailer may be, home goods. Because we have those steps of personalization for them. So I would encourage retailers to implement targeted ad solutions that are really meeting those needs. And it's kind of like coming back to basics of just mapping out each stage of your customer's path and then thinking of what do they need to see when that will be additive, that will grow the business overall, and in turn really create a compelling and curated cart for the customer, right? Where they're feeling like they're getting what they need each time they place an order with us or with any retailer.
So you make it
And,
sound so easy, such a curated experience. I feel like they should just go work with Shipt.
yeah, I think
Yes.
one of the last questions I had was just like coming from Facebook and like obviously like the level of like sophistication that Facebook has and that the ad stacks had, just everything. I mean, it's one of the most impressive organizations like you can work with. Like, have you found that maybe like retailers in particular are like ready and aware of like all the interesting things that they can lean into? Like, is Facebook almost trained everyone to be like, okay, like I get what we can do here? Or is there still like a level of like kind of let's just like set the playing field of like this is what you can do?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's constantly evolving, right? So I think no matter what playbook you have, it's constantly being rewritten. And I mean, I would say we're really trying to write it with our retail partners, and I'll say the consistent piece around coupling measurement with deeper and more actionable insights is what we're really committed to as we're sort of co-authoring this path, because we know that the insights that our advertising partners need to build their business better, both on our platform and across the industry, those insights, they have to be actionable insights. And that's where I think we're really continuing to lean in to the investments that we're making so that we can help, build confidence for our brands, that those measurement capabilities that are going to evolve and that are going to change, and that we're gonna kind of again lock arms to achieve together, that they're going to deliver on the bottom line that they need to deliver on, because ultimately that's the job to be done at the end of the day.
Before we close out, panning back a little bit, what are some of the key trends you're seeing in retail technology, in retail media, and what are the ones that you're most excited about as it pertains to Shipt or just the broader ecosystem?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I've touched on this one already quite a bit, but I think this is the one that the biggest trend that I'm seeing. So it bears repeating is just transparency. I think it's really important. I think coming from my background, I've really leaned into this very intentionally, with Shipt, and I think it's one of the biggest trends and one of the biggest challenges for the retail media industry, right? So I would say just that heightened sense of transparency by investing in enhanced data and analytics tools is probably the biggest trend I'm seeing today, and I think it's a really important one.
Katie, well, thank you so much for the conversation today. Where can people learn more about you?
Yeah, you can find me on LinkedIn, Katie Stratton. So please feel free. And, check out our app. Download Shipt from, the App Store, and check out shipt.com. There's so much there. There's so much goodness there that we would love to share with any new customers, any new retailers, any new advertisers. And I hope to hear from some new folks soon, and continue great relationships and conversations.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for doing this. We appreciate it. We know you have a ton going on. I'm going to go sign up for Shipt right now.
Awesome. My job here is done.
Thank you again. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Katie.
Thank you both.